Hello everybody, this is JP Hrisoulas, the Cranky Old Bastard, and it's been a while since I did a video due to various and sundry reasons, most of which were health related, not mine, but my wife's. So we're back for another video. Today we're going to talk about horn grips, or basically how to turn this into this. Okay, it's horn from an antelope, from a springbok, I do believe, or it's from an old Chevy, an Impala. They're a very nice grip, very unique. It's great for pistol grip blades. It's a lot of fun to work with. It can be frustrating as hell. A lot of character in it. Only comes in like one or two colors, this and a little lighter grayish brown. The raw horn is this. It's hollow. These have a really gnarly and nasty bone center. These are not like antlers. They don't drop off every year. They are basically original equipment for the antelope. So I buy these by the dozen from a place down here in Florida, of all places. I used to get them directly from the African exporter, but they want a 500 piece minimum, and that's a lot of horn. But so I just buy them, by the dozen from Florida, place down here in Florida, Coral Gables, I believe, or someplace like that, off the top of my head. But the big problem here is this hole. It runs all the way from about base out to about to here or so, depending on the horn. So if we first start out, you got to figure out how big a piece of horn you need. On this, you can see where I cut it. From here for the grip, everything is blended in. The curve's nice, butt cap's on. But most of this emptiness, there's got to be filled with something. And before you start, you got to make sure you got the blade right. Don't bend the tangs or anything. It's a through tang. You just basically get to the point where the tang's ready to go, and then you work on the horn. I make the blade to fit the horn. I don't make the horn to fit the blade. Being that you gotta match it up. Here, let's see if I get a better shot than that. See, you have that little hump there. Just blend everything in. So after you get your basic blade, and you get guesstimated in here, you did a rough fitting with this part here for the base of the blade of the side of the ricasso behind the guard. Now I put a little bolster plate on there just to make it a little more interesting on the transition and tie it in a little bit better. I like it. I like the look of that. It's just sexy as hell. Very dramatic blade. I'll go more on this in a moment. So once you cut the blade, cut the horn, you end up with this big old hole. See, let's show you see some light through there. See if I can see a light in there, back here. It's a big opening. Now, a lot of people will say, just pack it with epoxy. Well, you can do that. Sure you can. But that's a lot of epoxy. And I don't know about you, but I'm a cheap ass. I'm frugal. I don't want to waste that much epoxy. So what I do is, I tape this end off. And then I get a whole bunch of these little tiny soft wood sticks, just like this. Okay, these sticks right here. You tape it off, and you just start filling the void in with these sticks. Just fill it all in, because what you're doing is you're cutting down the volume. And trim them down, get them in there close, because the epoxy will flow down there. You fill these up, and then you add the epoxy. You could save maybe 80% of epoxy otherwise by doing it this way. Plus, there's also another advantage to doing it like this, is the fact that it doesn't overheat. Because I've had, back in the day when I first started doing this, before I figured out that there's a better way than using all that epoxy, I actually had a couple pieces crack from the heat. Because some of that epoxy gets real hot real quick. Okay? So once you get that done, you just fill it with epoxy, and you're done. Now, sometimes these horns you know, you need a heavier handle because these are nothing to these. Even the epoxy not going to be that much weight. So what I do is I go down here, I get some of my lead ingots, and I will flatten a section out a little bit, maybe, oh, that much, a couple ounces, flatten it into little pieces, and drop those in here as well. That'll give you a little bit more solid piece, a little more weight to it. And once it's cured, it's solid. I mean, this is pretty much, you know, good to go. And then when you fit your grip to the tang, you open this up, and then you have to drill down, and that's where the tricky part comes in. And it's a hit or miss. You either make it or you foobar the grip. And luckily, I haven't had one of those done in quite a few years. So you got to figure out straight line down from here to here, and then a straight line in from here to here. Okay, so you have basically this line there, like that, boom, boom, and then the tang is bent accordingly, and then it's burned on and opened up, stuff like that. Now about burning on the grips, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's dangerous. That'll destroy the grip." Not if it's done right. I've seen I don't know how many instances where this is basically suggested to do. These grips are beautiful grips. This whole idea of filling in the grip itself with epoxy, or even if you want to, Cutler's resin. Cutler's resin was the original epoxy, you know. It goes back, gee, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 2,500 years. I mean, they're using Cutler's resin to put stone arrow points on wood arrows, you know, back in the Neolithic ages. They're still using it today to attach things. Cutler's resin, some neat stuff. It takes a little tricky to use, get used to it, and it's just so many different formulas and recipes for it that it's interesting. It's interesting, neat stuff. It's an eye-opening. It's got to be done hot. You can burn yourself rather nastily with it because it is a hot resin, but it sticks. Boy, it sticks. And the other stuff that's really sticky, and stuff that's not so sticky, stuff that isn't very tenacious. Other stuff that, you know, once it's stuck and it's coming off of there. And the stuff is good for like 1,000 years when it's done right. I mean, I've got Tulwar and Shamshirs in my collection that are stuck together with Cutler's resin that are, you know, 14th, 15th century, and they're still tighter than Scotsman's purse strings. That's good stuff. But once you get that opening filled, like I said, and it's all packed up, just sit in the vise like this. Just let it sit overnight, or however long it takes for the epoxy to cure. You don't have to use epoxy. You can use a regular pouring casting resin. There's really no adhesive properties for this, because it's all going to be mechanically bonded once you put the bolster plate here and then the pommel plate. It's not going to go anywhere. You're just filling up opening, filling up the void. And after that's done, just treat it like a regular grip. Then the finishing comes in, and that allows you to go like this. You know, this is finished with a sewn muslin buff with the white buffing compound, phosphor bronze mounts, my Quetzalcoatl pattern here. I don't know if you can see the wave on there. Yeah, you can see a little bit of wave. This is a successful failure. I don't know what I was thinking when I made this blade, but I should not have put that fuller in there, because it basically erased the pattern, because it's supposed to go like this and this and this and this. Quetzalcoatl being the feathered serpent from Mesoamerica. It's an interesting pattern. It's a feather pattern variation, but horn grips are fun. I mean, they are just so nice, almost, you know, organic. Well, they are organic. It feels very natural in the hand. The pistol grips are one of those wonderful things that people either love or hate. Here again with forged phosphor bronze fittings. The guard was a real pip to forge out, but it takes a little bit of time. It's honest knife. I'm very pleased with it. So that's how, basically, in a nutshell, how you do the horn grips on a hollow horn. The same can be done as far as filling the voids in bone. If you want to save a lot of the epoxy there, you can still shim it up with the wood. On smaller pieces of bone, like the front cannon bones and stuff like that, where there's not much room, I don't really worry about it. But on bigger bone, yeah, I will shiv it in there and then, pour the epoxy around it or the resin, let it sit, and then put the tang in there. Other than that, it's not that difficult to do. Once you do a few of them, a lot of experience here will be needed as to gauge how much epoxy you will need. It's always good to make a little bit more than a little less. Although, if you do run halfway through it and you haven't filled it up yet, you can always mix a little bit more to bring the volume up, because, as I said, there's really no mechanical bond here other than filling a void, because everything else is being held by the pommel, by the bolster, guard bolster, and the pommel plate and castle nut. This is all basically, clumped up into here. It's a nice grip. I like the way the knife turned out. This will be available at my website here shortly at www.atar.com. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your support. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. Please leave a comment. Like I said, I've been gone for a couple of months due to health reasons, but things are finally turning around, hopefully. We're getting some answers. But that's it. It's not that difficult to do. I really shouldn't say that, because somebody will probably say, oh, this is harder than hell. Well, it wasn't difficult once you know what you're doing, but that's like most everything else, isn't it? Once you know, you know. Until you know, you don't know. That make any sense? Yeah, okay. But leave some comments, hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much for your time and sharing this time with me, allowing me into your home. May the wise Lord Ahura Mazda keep and bless you all. Thank you once again. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.